All right, welcome to our video class this week. Glad you've come. Today I am going to show you how to make some homemade instruments so that you can try it on your own at home if you want to. The first one I am going to show you is a rain stick. So this is one of my finished ones, and if you can hear it, this was not the best one I made, but I think the one that I'm gonna show you how to make will work just a little bit better because it is a little bit bigger. Okay, now this came from an aluminum foil container. It's in the middle, and this came from the middle of a paper towel roll. So you're gonna wanna take all the paper towels off, but make sure you ask your parents first. And then, oh gosh, it's kind of windy out here. You're going to tape off one end. So I just have some nice Scotch tape here, and I am gonna make sure I cover the whole bottom of the Rainmaker because you do not want the stuff falling out that we put inside. That would be really bad. You might have to use a couple pieces of tape, like I am. Make sure it's totally covered. There are no holes. Okay, now my bottom is totally covered. Nothing's coming out of there. Next, I'm going to take some aluminum foil, okay? A piece that's about the same length as your tube, and you're gonna crunch it up, not too tight. You want it to be a little bit loose because this is where the things that we put inside are gonna fall and make noise. So if you have a smaller tube like this one, you're gonna want a smaller piece of aluminum foil, and you're gonna have to crunch it a little bit tighter because if it's not small enough, then there won't be enough room inside for the beads and things to fall down. So if you have a smaller tube like this one, you're gonna want a smaller piece and crunch it up skinnier. If you have a bigger tube like this one, it's gonna be a little wider, a little thicker. You're gonna stick it right down inside. Then you can look around your kitchen and find some things that make noises if they fall. So for example, here I have rice and I have sprinkles. Three different kinds of sprinkles that I've put in here. See if you can see that there. You can also use beans, you can use small teeny tiny noodles or break up the noodles. Anything that makes the shaking kind of sound like that. You're gonna take a funnel, and if you don't have a funnel, then just be really careful when you put them in. You're gonna pour. There's a rain sound right there. Okay, you're gonna pour a bunch of that in. You can decide how much you want to put. If you put too much, it'll get too full and then it won't make a good sound. Okay, now that you've got your aluminum foil and your things that fall to make the sound inside, you're gonna wanna tape up the other end. Again, you gotta make sure there are no holes, because if there are, our rice or our beans and sprinkles, they'll fall out and your rain stick will be ruined. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So, here's how it should sound. Now that one sounds a little bit different than this one. This one has not quite as much room to make sound. There's not as much air in there to vibrate to make the sound, but this one, because it's thicker, sounds a bit better. I think I also have more sprinkles in here, so maybe the more the merrier with the sprinkles and rice and things. Now, if you don't want it to look like this, you can decorate it. You can color it, you can put fun tape on it. I know some of you probably have really cool duct tape that has patterns, so you can make it really cool. I decided to use some wrapping paper. Okay, so I just cut out a piece that's about as long as my tube and enough that it'll circle around it. So I'm gonna wrap it up like a present. Get some more tape here. Tape it together. And there is my rain stick. Okay, the second thing I'm going to show you how to make today is a homemade pan flute. Now this is my finished product, and if you notice, it has a ribbon, so you can put it around your neck if you want to. That part is not totally necessary. Then if you notice, we've got some straws here that are different lengths. Now, when you blow into this, it's kind of quiet because it's not an actual flute, but you can still hear that they change pitch. They get higher as they get smaller, and it gets lower as it gets bigger. That's how most instruments work. If it's big, it's low. If it's small, it's high. All right? Now, if you have some straws at home, you can decide how many you want to use. The first one that you use, you're gonna wanna keep the whole thing, just cut a little bit off the end so that it's diagonal. Can you see that, how I cut it so that it's got a diagonal opening there? You wanna cut hardly anything off the first one. Then the second one, you wanna make sure you, let's see, I'll turn it this way. You wanna make sure you line it up with the top, and then you're gonna wanna cut it a little bit shorter than this one. So I'm gonna cut it here. Okay, there's my second one. Now your third one, again, you're gonna wanna line up. If you do it on the table, it's probably a lot easier, but I'm trying to show you. This one needs to be even shorter than the second one. So I'm gonna cut it here. And that was quite a bit shorter. You can do it just by a little bit up, or you can kind of cut in bigger chunks, however you want to do it. It's up to you, as long as they get shorter every time. Okay, here's my next one. I'm gonna lay these down so I can measure. This one's gotta be even shorter. The next one, even shorter. And you're gonna keep going until you have as many as you want on your flute. Okay, now I'm kind of measuring these fast, so it won't be quite as pretty as my first one. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's do one more just for fun. Make this an octave 8, although the octave won't be perfect. Okay, so here are my 8 straws. Now this might be a little bit difficult to see, so I am going to have someone come out and film up close. Okay, now you're gonna wanna put something underneath your straws because you're going to be using some glue. Now, I don't have normal Elmer's glue in a tube that you can just squeeze, but that would probably be easiest. Instead, I have some Mod Podge, which works just as good as glue. So I'm gonna be using that with my little paintbrush here. Now the most important thing when you glue them together is that the top needs to be straight. If it's not, you'll have a hard time blowing into it and it won't work very well. So I'm gonna take this first one here and I'm gonna put some glue down the side. Again, if you have a little squeezer of Elmer's glue, that'll probably be really easy. This is a little more difficult, but you have to do with what you have at home. So I'm gonna put that one down and then I'm gonna stick this one right next to it and it will stick together here. gonna put some more glue right down the side. It's okay if it's messy, because remember, it's clear. Make sure you take your next biggest one and stick it next to it. Whoops. Oh dear. Right there. Okay, then the next biggest one, and you go all the way to the last. Okay. All right, now that my flute has had time to dry, I wanted to mention one other thing. I didn't do it very well on the one I showed you, but on this one, it might be nice to have the openings facing outward. If you look, I faced all of those diagonal openings outward so that the sound can go a little bit farther forward. Now on the one I made, I didn't really try very hard to do that, unfortunately, because I was hurrying. And if you don't do it, it's totally fine, but it's just something that makes it look nice and also makes it, maybe makes the sound go a little bit farther. So now that it's dried, I'm gonna flip it over. And if you want to add something to the back so that you can hang it around your neck, you can find a ribbon or a piece of string, something that you can tie around your neck. And you wanna make sure it's long enough. So I'm gonna stick it around my neck. Probably only needs to go to about here, so I'm gonna take it off and cut it. Right there. Okay, and then I'm gonna attach it onto the back with some tape. Now, if you wanna put some glue underneath, that might help it be a little bit stronger. But just for this video, I'm gonna put some tape around it, and you're gonna wanna put tape around the whole thing just to make sure those straws stay in place. If you see, I've got tape all the way around there. So, pull off a big piece here and stick it right on those ribbons or string. Let's see. Put them this way. Oh goodness, this doesn't want to work with me. Come on. Okay, put the piece of tape right on top there. Got a bug on my arm. And then wrap it all the way around so that those straws do not move. Okay, and then obviously just, whoops, looks like my ribbon's a little bit twisted. Make sure you don't twist your ribbon, unless you want to. Then it'll fit right around your neck and you can make some music. All right, and if you want to put anything here to decorate it, if you have some cool tape, you could stick it there, whatever you want to do. There is your homemade pan flute. The last instrument I'm going to show you how to make today is an Easter egg shaker. Okay, now you might have seen something similar to this in my classroom. We have just egg shakers, but these ones are just a little bit different, where you have a handle. It's kind of more like a maraca, okay? Egg shaker would be just one. Maraca is more like this, okay? Egg shaker maraca. Now you're gonna need a plastic Easter egg. Now we just had Easter, so maybe you have some laying around, maybe in an Easter basket somewhere. And again, you're going to need some things that make noise. I'm gonna use my same rice. Now it's dried rice. You don't want to cook it because then it won't make sound. Dry rice and sprinkles in here. Now, if you don't have anything like that in your kitchen, you can get rocks, you can get acorns, you can get anything else outside that sounds like this that would make a noise. Again, I said in the first part that you could use dried beans, things like that. Okay, now I just put a little bit of this stuff in here, and then I'm going to close the egg. There's our egg shaker. Now if you wanted to just leave it like that, you could. However, you're gonna wanna definitely put a piece of tape around the middle here. If you don't, it could pop open and the stuff could fall all over your floor, and whoever has to clean it up is not going to be very happy, and it'll probably be you. So you're definitely going to want a piece of tape. You hear the garbage can? Now if you have skinnier tape, it'll look prettier, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to kind of put it in between the spoons anyway. So I'm just going to put a big old piece of tape all the way around the middle because you do not want that stuff falling out. It didn't quite reach, so I'm going to put just a little bit more, just for good measure, right there. Okay, now if you wanted to leave it like this, you sure could. Egg shaker, all right? However, if you want to make it into a maraca with a handle, you're going to take 2 plastic spoons and you're going to stick your egg in between those 2 spoons. Okay, you can line them up so they're kind of even at the bottom. They don't have to be necessarily. And then you're going to need some tape. Now I kind of have some fun colorful tape here that I'm going to use. And I'm going to wrap it around my egg and spoons so that they stay nice and secure. I'm going to wrap it a couple of times here. So we're going all the way around, and I'm going to go all the way around one more time. Needs to be nice and strong. There we go. And I'll rip it off. Okay, now you've got a handle for your maraca. Okay, now I made 2, and you can make them any size you want. If you see this one's a little bit smaller than this one, if you have a big Easter egg, that might work too. They'll make different sounds. This one is just a little bit higher because it's a little bit smaller. This one's a little bit lower because it's a little bit bigger. And there is your Easter egg maraca. All right. I hope you guys are having an awesome week. I hope you have some fun creating some of your own homemade instruments. And if you don't want to make any of these ones, there are plenty more online that you can look up and find out how to make them. All right, you guys? See you later.